In 94 counties in Tennessee, it's just football. But not in this town. In Lewis County, this is a way of life. You're tuned in to the High Forest Sports Network. Marty Spears, Matthew Farr, and Josh McDonald bringing you the action. Kickoff is right around the corner. This is Lewis County football.
Good evening, Panther fans, and welcome back to the Coaches Show here on the High Forest Sports Network. I'm Matthew Farr. Along with me are Josh McDonald and head coach Ronnie Eisner. And the guest tonight, our special teams coordinator and wide receiver coach, Austin Yarbrough. We got a lot to talk about tonight. But first, before we get into that, I want to take just a minute and thank our gold sponsors. Junkyard Dog, Highland Corporation, Baxter Services, Assured Title and Escrow, Bank of Lewis County, People's Bank, City of Warrenwall, Casa Grande, 2C's Septic Cleaning and Portable Toilet Rentals, and this week's game sponsor, W. Andrew Yarbrough, attorney at law. Thank you again for supporting Lewis County football. All right, let's jump in. Panthers coming off a big win Friday night, moved to 3-0 on the season with a victory over the Loretto Mustangs. Now all eyes are turning to a game this Friday night against Hickman County. It's better known as the Battle of the Little Brown Jug. Jug's on the line this Friday, and we know what that means to both communities. It's going to be an electric week of football. Before we jump into Hickman County, though, I want us to talk briefly about the game against Loretto. Friday night, Lewis County defeated Loretto by a score of 41-0. In the first quarter, Coach Skelton opened the scoring with a 4-yard touchdown run. Henry Sharp added the extra point. In the second quarter, Braylon Bean broke loose for a 40-yard touchdown run, followed by another 40-yard touchdown run from Drew Ray that sent us halftime up 20-0. Coach, what were some of your thoughts about the first half?
You know, I think we got off to really a slow start on that opening drive. I wasn't really happy with our execution. And then, you know, we've actually got a play that we're going to show you in just a second. But Colt had a phenomenal scramble for a first down, and that kind of jump-started us. And we're going to take a look at that, and then we'll talk about it. And so that, you know, that play kind of got us going. We had, I think, 3 straight plays right before that where we did nothing offensively. They hit us in the backfield. And even on that play, nobody was open, and he kind of just made a play, and that kind of got us going. And then we drive down, and he runs in a touchdown. And from there, we were pretty good.
Overall, I thought Colt played one of his best games that I saw Colt play. Started off right there, moving the sticks on a crucial third down, whatever I thought. And it was, from what I've gathered, most coaches are just never really completely happy with any game that they've ever played. Truth of the matter is, that game was never in doubt. It was 41-0 the final. We dominated every aspect of the game. And, you know, sure, we probably left some possessions. We left some points out there. But the game was never in doubt. For most of the game, it was like Loretto got in the mode where they were trying to shorten the game, it felt like to me.
Definitely.
And we done our part from the field position, the defense. I believe we could have played 10 quarters, and I don't know that they would have scored. But going back to what Colt did, Colt has done his part to manage everything. But he seems like to me he stepped the game up as far as playmaking ability this past Friday night, because that right there, that scramble, if he doesn't scramble right there, we're punting on our first possession.
Absolutely. And his legs have been an asset for us. You know, we knew kind of going into the year it we're going to be. He just got he's got an uncanny ability just to make things happen. And our coaches have talked about it. When he does that, his eyes are always downfield. Right. He's not looking to run most of the time. He's looking for somebody to come open. And, you know, as a coach, that's what I want. You know, find that open guy out of scramble drill. And I think he's gotten where he's pretty good at that.
Well, I know we ain't got the clip to show, but I believe it was that same drive a little bit later on, he scrambled and done exactly what you're talking about. He found Fidinger out in the flat and pushed it inside the 5 yard line.
Yeah,
if I'm
and
not mistaken.
that may have been on third down as well, so
it
kind of
was.
the same thing. So very proud of him. He's done a great job for us so far, and I think he's only going to get better with experience.
Yeah, and of course, there was a lot of the guys that played really well this past week. The other guy that I would like to talk about, and I think you got a clip of him, is Bean, Braylon Bean. He showed up. He shows up every week in some capacity, but he affected the game on both sides of the ball. And of course, I think our clip we're going to show is a defensive play, and it was phenomenal when you see it. He just strings a play out and makes probably a three-yard loss out of it. And he also ran the ball very well. If you want to show that.
And I thought with Dean, I thought he did a great job. Him and Drew both of setting the edge this week, and that was one of our keys to the game, that we couldn't let them get outside. Keep everything bottled up for our front seven to go make plays, and I think we saw that. And I think you've got the stat. You said Braden Cooper had how many tackles?
He had 14 tackles, 1 tackle for loss.
So he was everywhere, but that's a lot of credit to our outside guys too, keeping it in tight, and then our D line making plays, keeping guys off of our linebackers. That's a whole team effort.
When you've got your linebackers leading the way in tackles, that bodes well for the defense. You don't want to see the secondary guys doing anything but
Right.
clean up.
But when you see someone with that many tackles, a linebacker with that many tackles, your defensive linemen are doing their job.
Yeah, they're keeping those linemen off of him.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Cooper is one of those. If you look on Max Preps, his numbers are kind of eye popping. How many tackles he's made. And it's not just him. Coker's made a lot of plays from his middle blocker spot.
I'm very pleased with our linebackers so far.
I agree. Of course, Matthew kind of hit on it. The defensive line has played phenomenal all year. They from the nose. Of course, Coach Yard is probably going to get on this a little bit here in a minute. Nate James put one back in the punter's face the other night. And, of course, really your defensive linemen aren't those guys that are making those kind of plays all the time. A lot of times their job is let the linebackers make the plays.
Right.
You got blockers and let them get up, kind of get the glory.
They're tying up that offensive line, and that's the thing about linemen, either offensive or defensive. They're not going to get all the glory, but their job is to make the others shine.
Yeah.
And whenever I think we touched on this last week, when you don't hear about a lineman's name being called, they're doing their job.
Absolutely.
Very rarely does a lineman get an opportunity to get a little spotlight on him. If it is, it's usually because, boy, he screwed that up, that thing. And of course, Nate, he put that in, Nate flashes. Of course, they all do. You start seeing those guys, they're blowing up plays in the backfield, and it's nice when anybody does it, but when you got the guys that are handing it, they're blowing up the play in the backfield, that bodes well for a defense.
For sure. Well, we'll go on and talk about the second half here because that's part of the opening of the second half. The Panther defense forced Loretta into a quick 3-and-out to start the second half. On the punt attempt, like I said, Nate James blocked it, giving Lewis County the ball on the 20-yard line. A few plays later, Skelton found Cade Carroll for a 6-yard touchdown pass. Still in the third quarter, Drew Ray added a 4-yard rushing score. In the fourth quarter, Ray, he wasn't finished. He capped off the night with a 21-yard touchdown run. Just a solid game. Like you said, like Josh said, a coach is never going to be happy. You're always going to find stuff to pick apart, but it was just a solid game from one end to the other, I thought, defensively, offensively, special teams. Some of the stats from Friday night, Drew Ray had 17 carries for 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. Braylon Bean had 6 carries, 81 yards and a touchdown. Colt Skelton was 9 of 14 passing, 108 yards, 1 touchdown, 22 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Cade Carroll had 4 receptions for 36 yards and a touchdown. Team statistics, Had 324 total yards, 44 plays, averaged 7.36 yards per play. Henry Sharp was 5 for 6 on point after attempts. Just a solid night all the way around. After them scoring 60 plus on us last year, you go into that game with that mindset, well, we're gonna embarrass them like we did last year. But there's not much you can be sad about with that game. You got to be happy with the effort, and I think that just like we talked about last week, the fight in these kids and the grit that they have, the effort that they give is impressive. Coach, you had 320 yards of offense. You averaged more than 7 yards play. What do you feel was the biggest key to that efficiency Friday night?
Well, I think, you hit the nail on the head. Our two backs had 200 yards together and I think 4 touchdowns. If you get that kind of production out of those guys, it's probably going to be a good night. And then Colt scrambling in there and making plays with his legs and his arm. But I think you got to give a lot of credit to our offensive line. We've kind of had a few guys step up, and they did a pretty good job keeping Colt clean for the most part. There's one play that I would love to have back. He got hit pretty good. We missed a lot, but other than that, they've done a good job opening up lanes for our running backs. So I think you got to credit those guys. But overall, offensively, I think we've done a pretty good job of executing the plays like they're supposed to be. And I think 7 yards per play attests to that.
You've got so many weapons on this team that we noticed in week 1. It seemed like you highlighted a different weapon on every drive on week 1. And while maybe the competition wasn't up to our level, you still know that there's potential there. And as a coach, that's got to give you a security, a feeling of security whenever you've got that many weapons on offense. But we'll talk a little bit about the defense. Now, we held Loretta to 69 total yards on 38 plays, which is impressive stat. We've already touched on Braden Cooper. He had 14 tackles, 1 for loss. Drew Ray had 7 tackles and an interception. Kobe Cates had 9 tackles and a sack. Braylon Mead had 2 fumble recoveries. We had Coach Clayton on last week. We probably should have waited and had him on this week after the defensive performance that we had this week. While we've bragged on this offense, this defense has been very stingy. I don't know how many points have we given up this year. 20 points in 3 games. That's pretty.
We're about to score our opposition 135 to 20 or 21.
One
Pretty good.
You can't say enough. They pitched a shutout against a region opponent there. Anytime you do that, that's a good thing. Tell us what's your overall take on the defense.
Well, we've talked about it all off season, and every day in practice, we want 11 guys to the football, and that's kind of been our calling card because I think you see that a lot. These guys, they don't wait on somebody else to make the play. They go get it. They don't expect, hey, Drew's going to make this tackle, Bean's going to make this tackle, Coop's going to make this tackle. All 11 of them are going to help each other out. And when you get that and you get guys flying around, I think you're going to be pretty successful defensively. And also we've created turnovers. I think in every game we've created turnovers, whether it be a fumble or a couple interceptions here lately. And if you win the turnover battle, that's kind of one of Neyland's maxims. You're going to be pretty successful.
0 turnovers for Panthers right now.
Which is
That
great.
There's a lot of things right now. To me, we're at the point in the season. We're going into game 4. You're starting to figure out the identity of who you are and who your opponent is. Right now, to me, our identity is this. We're going to be balanced on offense. We're probably going to run the ball just slightly more than we're going to throw it. we throw it when we need to throw it, and we're efficient at throwing the ball. Defensively, we're going to have 11 guys tackle you. We're going to make you earn every yard. And then on special teams, we're winning that by about 20 yards. We're going to get on that with Coach Yard here in just a few minutes.
We're going to be the aggressor. Especially.
And, you're starting to see that identity unfold. And all those things we just talked about point to you being a winning football team. When you outgain your opponent, when you back them up, and then when they turn the ball over and you don't, usually that's very favorable on the scoreboard. And that's what you're looking at after 3 games, and I look for that to continue.
Well, and talk about, you sent me a stat last night. Talk about that for a minute. I mean, that was eye-opening to not only myself, but also my coaches when I sent it to them.
Well, that's an unbelievable stat. After 31 possessions, our average starting field position is our own 49 and 2/3 yard line. And that's not including the touchdown.
Kickoff return.
So, that would skew that even more. So, out of those 31 possessions, once again, not counting kickoff, we've started 17 times in plus territory.
Which is
And there's 3 more that was like 47, 48, 49 yards. Our opponents have 1 less possession than us. They've started in plus territory 3 times, and their average field position is the 3rd. So we're starting about 20 yards better than what they are.
win the field position.
That just makes life a lot easier. Moving the ball 50 yards for points or 70 yards. Right.
One stat that I saw today that kind of stuck out to me, and it says a lot about your offense is we've punted 3 times this year in 3 games.
I don't like punting, honestly.
The lower that number is, the better. 3 times in 3 games.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want the punter sitting over there with ice on his leg because he's kicked so much.
Right.
And right now, he's not getting a lot of use.
And that's we don't want an all-star punter. I mean, we do want an all-star punter, but we don't want him to have to show himself. At this time, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring in Coach Yard and talk a little bit about special teams. We're back with our special teams coordinator and wide receiver coach, Austin Yarbrough. Glad you're able to join us
I
tonight.
appreciate y'all having me.
Talk a little bit about special teams. We touched on this last week in our show. Pretty impressive, some of the numbers that they've put up this year. Looking back this week, one play we'll get to here in a few minutes. We had a block punt last Friday night. If you want to just touch on a few things, whatever you want to talk about, we'll open it up to you.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the guys and how they've done so far these last couple of weeks. Coming into the season and off season, I approached Ronnie probably about the springtime, and I said, Ronnie, I'd love to be a part of the special teams and maybe even take the special teams over because I really felt like that could be a big deal for us coming into the season. We didn't really know what to really expect offensively, defensively, and we thought, man, we really got to be able to flip the field and help our offense, pin them deep for our defense. And so that was really big key for me, and I really, really wanted to focus on it. And so my big thing is, a lot of people on Saturdays, they want to watch the offense. They want to watch the defense. Well, yeah, I do that sometimes, but I love watching the special teams and how they do their things, because it's a little different than what the high school level does. And so what I wanted to do was kind of implement some of the college game into high school and that special teams. And so, and to make it fun for our guys, I even named our special team units. So like our kickoff's the SWAT team, our kickoff return is the task force, something fun for the kids to have, because at this level, these kids, majority just want to play offense, defense. They don't take special teams serious a lot of times. And if you take it serious, and it's shown these last couple games, it can win you ball games, and also it can lose you ball games as well. I couldn't be more proud of these guys and how they bought in to the special teams and went full force with it.
You tell the stats don't lie. Just a few things that stood out. Drew Ray, he's averaged 54.33 yards per return this year. He had a couple of big returns. You're probably going to see that number go down, because they're probably going to start going away from him.
Absolutely.
I dare say that his kickoff return numbers are going to dwindle pretty fast. Henry Sharp, can't talk enough about him. He's been solid in every single game. Doesn't seem like he gets rattled at all.
No, and Henry's done a great job. He's a sophomore this year, still a little bit of a young cat. But the jump he's made from his freshman year to this year has been huge. He's done a lot of work in the off season this summer. Went down, worked with a former UNA kicking coach. Been going down there seeing him. So he's put a lot of time and a lot of work to get to this point. And I really can't wait to see him grow over these next couple of years, because right now his kickoffs are going inside the 20. I'm hoping by his junior senior year, everyone's in the end zone.
Well, he's got the leg right now, but what he's really, to me, what's been impressive, those kickoffs, a lot of them are inside the 10, but he's got a lot of height on them.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it a great coverage kick. It's one thing to kick a line drive, and they got 30 yards and get a head start on it, but he's not doing that. Most of the time, we're getting them corralled inside the 25-yard line.
Absolutely. And our kickoff team, our SWAT team, has done a great job so far, busting their butt down the field, throttling down, staying in their lanes, and making the play. And that's been huge. It's pinning the team, the return team inside the 20 and letting Coach Clayton's defense go out there and keep them down there. That to me, the field position is a big deal. Those stats that y'all read off, that's huge, but we can also still build on it and keep getting better off of it.
Well, that's what I like seeing too. The kicking is great, the returns are great, but what I really like on the SWAT team, dude, they're coming down the thumb.
Yeah, they're coming down.
Yeah, you hear some pops.
Mm-hmm.
They're laying some licks on that. So it's a lot of teams, they put the young guys out there and say, "Hey, here, get you some reps." Now I think you got a little bit of that. But I see a lot of guys that start on defense playing out there.
And that's the thing that I really, really love and appreciate these guys is, man, they're busting it on offense, they're busting it on defense. Yeah, we could easily tell them, hey, take a break, get you a little breather, but no, they want it. They want to come in and they want to be a part of all three phases, and that's what they're doing right now. They're not getting tired, they're not being lazy going downfield, and they got to keep doing that, and I think it's going to continue to be.
I think it was late in the second half there, Friday night. They muffed a kickoff, and I think part of that he might have heard footsteps.
Yeah,
he'd been caught a couple of times.
So the one that I recall, we kind of kicked it over in that coffin corner over on their sideline, and the guy brings it out. And he just kind of goes out in the middle of the field and sits down about the 25-yard line. He had more there.
Yeah.
He'd been part of that pass hopping stuff.
He had all he wanted.
Absolutely.
He went down there and gave himself up. But, that's one of those. It's frustrating, but I know you saw it and you're like, we've got to give this guy a dose of something he don't want anymore of. Those guys ought to see that and say, we're doing our job when the guy's going out there and choosing to sit down and basically give himself up.
Absolutely. And one thing too in the Loretta game, kickoff wise, they're flying down so hard that they're almost kind of getting the throttle down and running past the guy. If you notice a couple of the kickoffs there, but we've cleaned it up yesterday and today getting that. So hopefully that won't.
It's easier to slow somebody down than it is to speed them up.
Exactly. So
And the other thing that I think of on this, we've had the good fortune of basically running everybody out of the building so far. There's going to come a point to where we're playing a tight ball game. And this right here is where it's going to really be noticeable. If they've got to drive that extra 20 yards down the field, or, Henry Sharp may go out there to tack on a 3, where you've stalled out on 4th and 10 inside the red zone.
Right, because it's only going to get tougher as the season goes, and so we've got to keep building momentum and keep finding ways and different formations and things like that going out throughout the year. Once it gets tough to really set the advantage. We can talk about these stats and these numbers right now, but I mean realistically, we have not played our toughest opponents to this point, and so we'll really see how well our special teams is once we get later and later into the year. And so hopefully it's still really at that good point of where we got it right now, and we keep building on top of it.
How long before we see Coach Azure call 40-yard field goal?
Maybe in 2 years.
2 years. No, Henry's been impressive.
He really has. I've been really, really proud of him. I mean, like I said, he has worked his tail off to get to this point. On Mondays, I got him out here. Once we get done with our little walkthrough and stuff like that, we're kicking field goals, extra points. He's always wanting to work, and so I've been super proud of him so far.
If you want to, go ahead and play that clip of Nate James blocking punt right after halftime Friday night. We'll talk just briefly about that. All right. That play right there, I think it set the tone for the second half.
Yeah, I think it did too. I mean, especially like we just said, coming out of half, get a good stop right there, 3 and out. And then all year we've been trying to get pressure through there. All year we've been trying. And I really thought after watching the film of Loretta, I thought, man, we could really get one this week. Really get one. And I think there may have been a little bit of a timeout or something, maybe an injured guy right before that. And so it slowed things down. And so I was able to talk to our punt block team, and I told her, I said, listen, we can get one, but you've got to go. You've got to go get it. Go get me one. And really who causes that, if you watch it, is Braylon Bean hits that gap, the A gap, and hits it hard, and that allows Nate to slim through there and get his hand on it. So Braylon actually had a really big impact on it, and then Nate was right there to do a great job blocking it. And we've had chances of blocking several punts throughout the year. But what we were doing, we get there, we want to jump. And we was like, hey, you can't jump at the ball. You've got to dive, you've got to get an aiming point and get your hands out there, and you've got to dive and get it. And these last couple of weeks, we've just been jumping at it. And we probably could have had 2 or 3 more block punts throughout this year so far. But, Nate did textbook, got his hands there and didn't jump and was able to block it, give us the momentum. And then great field position around the 20-yard line. Let Coach Yazer's offense go out there and end up punching it in. And so, you can't ask for much more for a special teams coordinator for that to line up. Get a block punt, get us in the 20-yard line and touchdown. I mean, I couldn't be more pleased with it.
That's a dagger right there. You're still in a somewhat competitive ball game right there, but they come out, go 3 and out, and then, like you said, you stuff it. And I think we turn over and right inside the 20-yard line. I think we scored like a play for that. And from that point forward, everybody's ready to get on the bus.
Yeah,
pretty much.
exactly, and that's what special teams can do to you. It can give you all the momentum in the world, and then it can suck it all out of you too if you mess it all up.
You see that in every level of football. I mean, if you cut it on Saturday or Sunday, you can watch a competitive ball game. I can't remember who it was week 1. Virginia Tech, South Carolina. That game's a nail biter right down to the end. And all of a sudden, Virginia Tech punts. South Carolina houses it. They go away and run the 2 scores.
Exactly.
In a game where there was no offense to be had, but that little lapse, the guy houses it. And
That was South Carolina, Virginia Tech.
That's
It's a
right.
little beamer ball.
Well, Beamer
Right,
Ball-
and that was all special teams too. You know, they're big in special teams, and I'm telling you, if you take special teams serious, it's going to keep you in games. It's going to win you games and get you in great field position and put the opponent back. You know, and that's our biggest goal is to give Coach Eisen that offense the best field position and back up the opponent's offense and give Coach Clayton's defense a chance to keep them backed up and continue to give us good field position.
If you're gonna say something negative about this is one of them, it's probably the offensive guys gonna say the negative part of it. It's kind of killing our offensive staff playing in the short field all the time. I mean, come on, we need to drive the field.
I think I'd rather have a good return and get it across the 50.
Yeah, we're scoring a lot of points. I guess the guys could hang their hat on scoring touchdowns instead of getting yards.
All right, we're going to thank Coach R for being with us tonight.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break and get Coach Iser back in here. We'll talk about upcoming match against Hickman County.
Appreciate you, fellas.
Thank you.
All right, as great as last week was, its focus now shifts. I'm sure it shifted on Sunday, especially for the coaches. It shifts to Hickman County, Battle of the Little Brown Jug. Probably one of the oldest rivalries in Tennessee high school football. I know it's the oldest rivalry for Lewis County. Always brings out the best in both teams. Coach, what does this battle of Little Brown Jug mean to you personally? You played in it, you coached in it. What does it mean to this program?
Yeah, as a player, you know, Coach Sharp always talked about Hickman County Week, Hickman Hate Week. I mean, it's the game that he talked about in the off season. It's the game he talked about leading up to it, and then during the week, he hammered it home that Hickman County is the biggest ball game of the year, you know, and that kind of carried over as a player, and then kind of the same thing as a coach, you know, trying to. It's a huge rivalry and trying to get that instilled in our kids. You know, it's not often that you get to play for something. The Little Brown Jug is a big thing. We've got a permanent trophy case for it.
That's right.
It's supposed to be here,
That's right.
and that's how we feel, and that's how my players feel. You know, so yeah, on years that we have gotten beat, we're missing a spot in our trophy case, and you know that's not a good feeling. That's not what we want. So big week, and gotta stay locked in.
Looking at this Hickman County team, new coach, some new coaching staff. If I understand correctly, you face this, and this is going to be 3 out of 4 games so far this year. New coaches. What do you expect from their offense right now?
Well, they're going to run their wing T stuff, and the quarterback, he's a darn good football player. They try to get him outside a little bit, do a lot of design runs with him, and they'll attack you with the running back, and then number 14 out wide, they try to get him the ball. So they've got some players, and they do a good job. Their misdirection's good. They put your defense in a bind. You've got to make sure you play assignment football and rally to the football.
Now, swapping pages, what about their defense? What have you seen?
They are aggressive. They're going to line up guys I mean, most of the time they've got 7 in the box. Even when we spread them out, I feel like they're going to keep guys in the box and try to make us beat them on the perimeter. Their linebackers, they attack downhill, and they want to generate tackles for loss, and they do a pretty good job of it. It's going to be a tough test.
You've seen their film. What's your keys? What do you have to do?
Well, we've got to continue executing offensively. I haven't been real happy with our buck sweep the last couple of weeks. We're making too many mistakes on the little things. Getting our head across on a down block, pulling and getting to that upfield shoulder on the kick out, and little bitty things like that. So we spent 15 minutes literally just on buck sweep today. So we've got to execute on that. And defensively, same thing as it always is. We've got to have 11 guys get to the football and play assignment football and make sure they can't get outside on us.
Coach, we'll wrap up tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Josh, you got anything else you'd like to add?
No, I guess I would add this is it's pretty neat to go into a season. Our schedule has a little bit of flexibility into it, but I don't know that I've ever saw a season where you line it up to where you play the two most heated rivalries back to back.
Yeah.
Now, it's kind of odd that you have to go to both of their places, but rivalries mean a lot in football. But, it's to me, it's what makes it the greatest sport is football. Is because that passion. You're talking about the Little Brown Jug. The Little Brown Jug basically lives in Homewall. It's going to stay here for the foreseeable future. If they can take it, I want them to take it. I just don't think they can.
Yep.
So that is what I want people to do. Get involved in football. Talk smack. Hit the game, reach out. Come on. Come get the Little Brown Jug. It's sitting right over in Homewall. It's your opportunity to come win. So Loretta had their opportunity. They had their 2-game winning streak. We broke it. And now we're going to go on another run where, this is a crazy stat, maybe. We like crazy stats. Up until 2 years ago, it had been 30-plus years since Loretta beat Homewall.
Just drive that knife deep on that.
Sorry, Ronnie. But it's over. Now it's 1-0, Ronnie.
Okay.
So now, I wish I had looked up the streak against Hickman, but it's probably been 10. Coach Arbors gave me the cue that it's been 10 years.
Well, it's our job to keep that. We've got to come out and play.
No pressure. No pressure.
You definitely give us a little bit.
What do you do to keep your team up? Like you said, you have 2 rivalry games back to back. What do you do to keep them motivated?
Well,
You got to come off of a high
Right.
after Loretta.
we put a lot of stock in the Loretta game. They like you said, they beat us 2 times in a row. They called the late timeout last year. We hadn't forgotten about that. They've done a few things the last couple of years to kind of fuel that fire. So that helped last week get us going. And then you talk about with every team, you want to go 1-0 each week, and whoever's next. Well, I think we've been blessed the last 2 weeks because of that.
Yeah.
You don't get to look ahead when it's 2 opponents like this.
There's certain people you need to check your pulse if you have to get up.
Absolutely.
And you're going to see that the rest of the season. You got opponents like Summertown. You got
Yes.
opponents like Adamsville's going to be a tough opponent. Decatur Riverside, they have become a rivalry in the last 10 years. That's you pretty much from here on out, you've got a rivalry game.
Another team that's got our number right there. We got to get that working up.
So that's you've got to face that the rest of the season. Thank everyone for joining in tonight. If you can be at Hickman County this Friday night at 7:00. If you can't be there, Josh and Marty will be on the call. We'll be live on the High Force Network on YouTube. Hope you join in and watch these guys. I'll be out of town this week. Won't be able to join in with them. Not that I added a lot to it this past week. We had a few technical difficulties. Well, we have those worked out by Friday night. But thank Coach Yard. Thank you, Coach Hauser. And we'll sign off for the week, and we'll be back next Tuesday night.
Thank you guys as well.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.